Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that was sent to me by one of our admin. The message reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post my own story? Is anonymous. I want to confess to you, to God, to everyone, how I sacrificed my father-in-law, a very good man. He was the one who helped me even when I came to South Africa. But I sacrificed my father-in-law simply because I wanted to be rich. But the problem that I am now facing is that the spirit wants my son. The same gods that were giving me money, they now want another sacrifice. I was born in 1970 in Maputo, Mozambique. My family was very poor. We struggled daily. By the time that I turned 18, I was tired of living hand to mouth. In 1988, I began planning my escape coming to South Africa because I was hearing that there were people that were finding better jobs at the mines and building good lives. I arrived in Johannesburg with nothing but clothes on my back, and all that I had was the desire to have a better life, to survive. At first, I did whatever work I could find. I was someone who was quick to learn. I started working for this other man who taught me carpentry, and I was also sweeping, and I was working for other white people. Anything that paid me a few rands, I was okay. In 1990, that was when I met Andy, not her real name. She was volunteering at a community center where I was cleaning. She noticed me immediately. She was different from anyone that I had known. She was warm, a good woman, a good Christian woman, and full of laughter. We then spent time together, and soon enough we fell in love. She did not care that I was someone who did not have a good job. I was just a hard worker, a laborer. She saw potential in me that I did not see in myself. One day, when we were sitting down, she said, I have decided for you to become my investment. She told me that she knew that I had the talent in me to survive and to also become better. That is why she wanted to marry me. 2 years later, we got married. Through her, I gained South African citizenship. Even most of her relatives, they were against the idea. But my father-in-law, the man that I betrayed, he was the one who stood up, and he said that if this was the will of God, then it had to be done. I began feeling like finally I had a home. We opened a small general store in 1994. It was a modest start, but we managed to scrape by. Tandy and I worked side by side. We were sharing everything, but as time passed, I became increasingly frustrated. I saw people around me. They were really having beautiful cars, living in big houses, and I wanted more. By 1998, I was obsessed with finding a way to become wealthy. I wanted to give my woman, and I wanted to show her that I was a good investment. I wanted her to live a life that was full of luxury, the one that I had always dreamt of. But no matter how hard I worked, the money was never enough. It was in 2000 when I heard about the China-South Africa Business Expo that was happening in the country. I thought that this would be a chance for me to get a network, learn and find better opportunities. I went there even though it was really hard for me to raise the money to buy the ticket to go there. I wanted to go with my wife, but we simply could not afford. I went alone. There, that was when I met a Ghanaian businessman who seemed to have everything that I desired. We talked, and he seemed to understand my frustrations without me even telling him. He then invited me to Ghana, promising me that he was going to show me the true path to wealth, and I was really desperate, so I agreed. I arrived in his country a few weeks later, and he introduced me to a world that I had only heard whispers about. He spoke of wealth that did not come from hard work, but from some rituals and some powerful spirits. He told me that this was the only way that I could be able to get wealthy. He told me stories about other people that were businessmen that used to struggle like the way that I was struggling. And through Juju, they had managed to make it big in life. He took me to this other place where we visited a remote shrine hidden deep in the forest. When we got there, there was a priest, and when he spoke with me, I really knew that finally I had arrived. He explained to me that the gods were the ones that were going to decide my fate. He told me that the wealth that I wanted, it required a sacrifice, and it had to be someone who was close to me, or even my wife. And when I thought about it, I then did not want to lose my wife because I still wanted more. And I thought of my father-in-law. He was an old man. He had a chronic illness that he had been suffering from. So I said that maybe it was time for him to rest in peace. And that was the idea that I had. I felt my heart beating hard against my chest when I thought about it. And I said, indeed, I am now an evil man that has decided that another human being has to die so that I can be able to make money. So I stayed there in Ghana. By the end of that week, I had made my decision. I agreed to the ritual. And on my return to South Africa, that was when I was told that I had to buy a gift for my father-in-law. And this gift was the one that was going to make my father-in-law to die. I returned back and I bought him a gift. I gave the gift to my father-in-law, and he gladly accepted it because he loved me like I was his own son. But what he did not know was that when he accepted the gift that was from me, he was accepting his own death, because I had brought with me the spirit of death when I had returned from Ghana coming back to South Africa. After the ritual in 2000, my life changed drastically. Money came to me in ways that I had never imagined. It was by 2003 that I started owning a lot of properties in Johannesburg. I was traveling with people that had a lot of money, and I was so excited because finally I was there. I was now a millionaire. On paper, I was a millionaire. Even right now, with the money that I have in the bank, with the houses that I own and the cars, indeed, I am a multi-millionaire. But in reality, even though I will never be recognized as such, I am even more richer than other billionaires that are from South Africa because of the money-making rituals. My business, they grew rapidly, and I started to make investments, in particular interested in fast food restaurants that I started investing in across South Africa. My wife, she believed that our success, it was because of hard work, and she was happy that the investment was a good investment when she married me so that I can have South African papers. For years, I enjoyed my wealth, and I even forgot that I sacrificed my own father-in-law, but I always had this guilt in my heart. The memories of what I did to my father-in-law, I always pushed them into the background until they faded away, replaced by the life that we were living, always enjoying life, going to different countries. We had a bucket list, me and my wife, of the countries that we wanted to visit. Your Egypt, wherever they were, the 7 wonders of the world. We went everywhere. However, in 2018, that was when I had a dream. They were just nightmares of my father-in-law. He will be facing me, staring at me, and he then started speaking with me. I started to see myself returning back to where it all started in Ghana. And then when the priest would look at me, his face will change. It will become the bloodied face of my father-in-law, just like the way that he died. It was a weird way to die. My father-in-law, even though he had a chronic illness, but when he passed away, he had blood that were coming out of his eyes. People could not even understand what was going on. Since he was an old man, a man that was sick, they just said that maybe it was because of his severe illness. So in early 2020, during the pandemic, that was when the spirit became louder. Like when I say that the spirit became louder, it was like someone had taken a megaphone and then that person was busy screaming into my ears. The first time when it happened, I was with this other woman who is almost like my personal prostitute. I pay her to be with me and no one else. She even got the shock of her life because we were in bed at this other hotel. Then suddenly I had a bang, as if there was someone who had came into that room where we were, and then I had the scream. So I screamed because I was shocked. He asked me what was wrong, and then I told him that I really did not understand what had happened, and things became even worse. I started experiencing strange things in my house. Even when I was in my office, I would clearly see my father-in-law. I would only see him for a couple of seconds, then he would just disappear. When I saw that this was what was happening, I consulted with another Sangoma who is in Soweto, hoping to find peace. That Sangoma, she told me what I feared the most. The spirits from Ghana, they wanted another sacrifice, and this time as to be my own son, because at that time the gods, they wanted me to sacrifice my own wife, but I refused. The gods were saying that I thought that I was clever, and they were speaking through that Sangoma, and they said that now you have to sacrifice your own blood. The problem, Brother Nash, is that even though I have kids with other South African women that my wife does not know of, they gave me only girls. My wife, she is the only one who gave me one son, so I cannot risk it. I do not want to lose my son because he is my only seed. I cannot return back to Mozambique because I came here when I was still a young boy. I have forgotten from where I come from in Mozambique, for the memories, they have since faded away. So I wanted my son to be the one to start his own lineage here in South Africa, and they want the flesh and the blood of my son. The spirits, they are not showing me any mercy at all. My son, he is now suffering from epileptic seizures. I really do not know what am I supposed to do. My son currently, he is 19 years old, and when I look at him, I see an innocent child who has no idea of the darkness that surrounds his father. He is my seed, my pride and joy, yet I am about to lose the thing that matters the most to me. I once told myself that I was going to commit suicide. I then had a dream. In my dream, it was revealed to me that if I tried to commit suicide, it was not going to work. I thought that maybe it was just a joke. I was just having a bad dream. That was when I thought of trying it out. When I tried it, Brother Nashi, nothing happened. Nothing really happened. I wanted to get involved in a terrible road accident. So I was on the N1. I was traveling beyond the speed limit. As I was traveling beyond the speed limit, in front of me, I saw that there was a truck that was coming my way. I tried to shift so that I can get into the way of that truck so that we can have a head-on accident and I can just die in that accident. Maybe the gods will release my son. Whilst I was trying to drive into the oncoming truck, but my car, it was as if there was someone who took control of the vehicle and guided the car safely, and it got parked by the side of the road. It really scared me, for I knew there and there that these voodoo gods, they were always going to be watching me. Now I really do not know what to do. I don't want to go to church. I am someone who has never been a church person, for I know that there is a lot of faking that is going on. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear sister who gave us this translation. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world.